Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. What an amazing turnout. What an amazing event. I can't wait to hear what I have to say. First of all, I want to thank everybody here, everybody across the country who prayed for me, who prayed for my wife, who prayed for my family, and who prayed for justice. Thank you, and God bless you. I particularly want to thank Jim and Joe Hoft, because as some of you may know, I was actually gagged for almost 2 years unconstitutionally by a federal judge who would not allow me to defend myself in any medium whatsoever, on the internet, radio, cable. And if it were not for the Gateway Pundit, people would not know the facts and the truth about the government's Soviet-style show trial that they put me through. I will always be grateful for the support of the Gateway Pundit for not only telling the truth, but helping me raise the money necessary to wage a legal defense. It is always an honor to share the stage with one of the greatest American statesmen it has been my privilege to know. I've worked with presidents, governors, senators, many prominent Americans, but there is no finer patriot, no finer Christian gentleman, no greater geopolitical thinker than General Michael Flynn. I am honored to be his friend. I've gotten to know, I think, every one of his brothers and sisters. They are like family to the Stones. God bless you, General Flynn. It's also a great honor to be on the same platform with the greatest mayor in this history of the city of New York, Mayor Rudy Giuliani. I was a volunteer on his first campaign for mayor. His crime, zealously defending the rights of his client, Donald J. Trump. My friends, the Russian collusion hoax is the greatest single dirty trick in American political history. It is nothing less than an abuse of power in which the full authority of the United States government and the incredible capabilities of our intelligence agencies were used, utilizing two pieces of weaponized, fabricated evidence, the Steele dossier and the false claim that the Democrat National Committee had been the target of a Russian intelligence online hack to remove a duly elected president of the United States. And now, thanks to the incredible courage of Tulsi Gabbard, we know without any question and without any dispute that there was a seditious conspiracy to commit treason and remove Donald Trump from office. I never dreamed that I would be swept up in the Russian collusion hoax. It's interesting because I was never asked to testify before a grand jury. I was never sent a target letter. But every 3 days, I would read a new story telling the American people that Mueller was focused on Stone. Mueller tightens the noose on Stone. Stone is in Mueller's crosshairs until that morning. On January 19th, 2019, when 29 heavily armed, fully SWAT-clad FBI agents, all wearing night goggles, brandishing fully automatic M4 assault weapons, surrounded my home to arrest me at 6 o'clock in the morning for the first time, nonviolent alleged crime of lying under oath in my voluntary testimony to the House Intelligence Committee. How does one lie about a Russian collusion hoax that we now know never actually happened? No, I was charged, not because I did something wrong. I was charged because at that point I had been a friend and advisor to Donald Trump for almost 40 years. and because they had the misguided view that they could pressure me into testifying falsely against the president. I guess they didn't understand that I'm half Sicilian, and there was zero chance of that happening. You see, I'm half Hungarian and half Sicilian. I'm Italian from the waist down. It was not a great experience. General Flynn and his family have been through it. They know exactly what I'm talking about. I had this misguided view after I was charged that I would actually have a fair trial, that I would be able to, even though the burden was on the government to prove that I was guilty, that I would have an opportunity to prove that I was innocent. I hadn't counted on the fact that I would have an epically corrupt judge who was a vicious Trump-hating partisan, that she would violate all my constitutional rights, that she would gag me so that I couldn't even defend myself in public, that I would have a jury of 11 Trump-hating Democrats and one Trump-hating member of the Green Party. And they say, oh, well, you were convicted of a jury of your peers. Sorry, those people are not my peers. The time came when I realized that not only would I be gagged, but I would also be lynched, and that I would not have an opportunity to put on any defense, as the judge, for example, ruled when I wanted to call Bill Binney, probably the foremost counter-terrorism IT expert for the CIA, to prove definitively that there had been no online hack of the Democrat National Committee, which could have been proved by, not only through his expert testimony, but also through forensic evidence. The judge, of course, would not allow him to testify. My defense attorneys asked for Robert Mueller's final unredacted report because the portions about me were fully redacted. The judge denied that to my lawyers, but she said that she would review his report in her chambers, and she would give my defense attorneys those portions that pertain to me. Somehow she forgot to give us the stuff on page 178. That's where Robert Mueller admitted that he'd found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime on my part. We would not learn that until BuzzFeed filed a lawsuit against the Justice Department, and a federal judge ruled that Mueller's final report would have to be made public. So they released it at midnight on Election Day, November 3rd, 2020, the busiest media day of the world. The coverage of this by the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press was non-existent. The time came when I realized that I was going to be lynched. I was despondent, I was depressed, I was angry, I was frustrated. I was scared, not so much for myself, but for my wife. If I were unjustly incarcerated, I had no idea how she would support herself, where she would live. And a young pastor who was a friend of mine, Randy Coggins, who has just released a terrific book, but who had kept in touch with me and kept urging me, along with a number of other clerics, priests, rabbis, pastors, had continually urged me to turn over this horrific burden to the Lord. And I tried. I was reading the Bible, but I'll be candid with you, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it until Pastor Coggins said, well, you know, Franklin Graham is going to be in Boca Raton. He's going to be speaking to a revival there. Would you like to meet him? And as a much younger man, when I worked for President Nixon, I had met Billy Graham. Pardon me. Marco Rubio moment. I had met Billy Graham, who I considered one of the greatest men of the 20th century. So I jumped at the chance to meet Franklin Graham, who is not his father, but is a very great apostle for the Lord, has his own style. And he graciously gave me about 20 minutes. And of course, I was thinking politically, and I said, well, Reverend Graham, The president's lawyers won't let me talk to him. My lawyers won't let me talk to the president. I was hoping you could put in a good word for me because I'm going to be lynched in this federal trial. And my only chance here is clemency from the President of the United States. And he said, well, I'll see what I can do. But let me give you a better piece of advice. You need to turn over your burden to the Lord. You need to confess your sins, get right with God, and I guarantee you that the Lord will lift you up and he will protect you from those who persecute you. And I said, well, I'll think about that. And then we went out into this open field where there were maybe 1,000 Christians. Could have been a Trump rally. There were a lot of MAGA hats. I was pretty widely recognized. And then the time came in Reverend Graham's oration where he said, I don't care if your problem is alcoholism or drug addiction or health problems or family problems or relationship problems. If you stand up now, if you confess your sins, if you get right with God, the Lord will lift you up and the Lord will deliver you. And in that moment, unembarrassed and without hesitation, I stood up with, 200 other Christians. I confessed my sins, and I must tell you, it was like having cement blocks removed from your shoulders. I knew in that instant that President Trump would recognize that I was being persecuted simply because I refused to testify falsely against him, and I knew that the Lord would step in and he would provide. So it is absolutely true that while today I may be materially much poorer, I am spiritually much, much richer. And I am living proof that Jesus Christ can do anything. Now let's talk politics. The Democrat Party, the old Democrat Party, the party of John F. Kennedy and Harry Truman, the party that Mike Flynn used to belong to, that was a party that believed in capitalism, that believed in a strong national defense, that believed in free enterprise, that believed in God. That party no longer exists. Today, the Democrat Party is the party of the Ayatollah Zohan Mamdani, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, and that old windbag, Bernie Sanders. It is an extremist party that does not believe in our Constitution. There is no such thing as a moderate Democrat. That has become an oxymoron. But our problem are not the screwball leftist Marxist Democrats. Our problem, in a nutshell, are the gutless, feckless, weak-kneed, lily-livered, white wine swilling, country club belonging, establishment Republicans who have neither the guts nor the balls to fight for America. Thank you. Now, the other night, I did an hour-and-a-half broadcast with my friend Laura Loomer. You may have heard of her. If you haven't, she'll tell you all about herself. And she said, well, we're definitely going to lose the House in 2026. Well, first of all, as a political professional, as someone who's a veteran of 13 national presidential campaigns and over 700 individual political campaigns, there is no way that you can make that prediction because in politics, a week is a lifetime. Donald Trump is leading this country very clearly to a golden age, to an unprecedented age of peace, prosperity, security, justice, and law and order. If we can get a Federal Reserve chairman who will actually look at the inflation rate and the unemployment rate and who will recognize that today they are either at the same level or lower than they were the last 4 times the Federal Reserve cut interest rates on the American people, this economy will boom like nothing you have ever seen, and we will win more seats in the House and will win more seats in the Senate in the next election. Let me say a word about Donald Trump because I think it is necessary. He's the one who is a force of nature. This is, without any question, the greatest single political comeback in the history of our country. It is only because of his stamina and his courage and his relentlessness and his energy and his belief in God that he survived 2 assassination attempts that we know of, and that he beat the odds to return to the White House. And he has, in my opinion, a renewed sense of urgency as he recognizes he has 4 years to save this country. And he is already succeeding spectacularly. He is, without any question. Look, I worked for Senator Bob Dole as his assistant in the U.S. Senate for 2 years. I worked for President Nixon. They were both very tough guys. Neither one of them is nearly as tough as Donald Trump. He would not be making this trip to Alaska. If I were Vladimir Putin right now, I'd be poring over a copy of The Art of the Deal, trying to understand every word of it. Let me also say that I think that what we experienced in the country in this last election goes far beyond the confines of the Republican Party. What we experienced was a significant political realignment in which common sense Democrats like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who was then a Democrat, and Governor Rod Blagojevich, and people of common sense realized that Republican-Democrat is not the divide in this country. This is a fight between the atheistic, godless globalists who favor war, who would censor our free speech and destroy our constitutional rights, and those who believe in peace and prosperity and freedom. And this is a fight that we dare not lose. What would have happened if Moses had refused to leave his people out of bondage? What would have happened if Jesus Christ had refused the cross? What would have happened if the man who fired the shot around the world in Lexington and Concord had refused to do so? This is a fight that everyone in this room must enlist in because the fight has just begun. As I look at these special elections and I study the polling, I see that Republicans and Trump supporters have this false sense that we have already won. Not only have we not already won, but the fight has just begun, and our greatest victories lie ahead. Now, as the introduction said, I do have a tattoo on my back. It is a tattoo of Richard Nixon. It's about the size of a pineapple. So it floats between my shoulders, which means I'm the only guy you know has a dick on the front and the back. And it is, sorry. It is not a political statement. It is a daily reminder that in life, when you get knocked down, when you suffer defeats, when you have setbacks and disappointments, that is the time not to give up, but to get up off the canvas and get back in the fight. My mentor, Richard Nixon, put it best when he said, a man is not finished when he's defeated. He is only finished when he quits. Until one has been in the deepest valley, one cannot appreciate the majesty of the highest mountaintop. I can assure you of one thing. In the fight for America, neither Rudy Giuliani, nor General Michael Flynn, nor Roger Stone, nor Donald J. Trump will ever quit the fight. God bless you.